International tensions rise, a new aerospace site close to home, and an impact that Clemson students are making. All right here on Clemson News Now. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Liz Huff.
And I'm Libby Smith. Operation Epic Fury, the code name for the U.S.-Israeli joint military operations against Iran, is taking the world by storm. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran stretch all the way back to 1976, with the Iran hostage crisis. The immediate concerns fall on February 28th, with U.S. and Israeli forces launching nearly 900 attacks in the span of 12 hours against missiles, air defense, military infrastructure, and leadership.
At the heart of the attacks comes the death of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, which consequently triggered hundreds of Iranian missiles and drones in retaliation to this act. Drones have been shot down in multiple countries in the Eastern Hemisphere, with concerns of Iranian drones stretching to California.
With the U.S. hammering Iran for the second week in a row, the future trajectory of this conflict and its consequences are valid concerns, leaving Americans questioning the U.S.'s objectives. Goals from the U.S. include degrading Iran's nuclear program, ballistic missiles, navies, drones, and control of its terror proxies. With these goals in progress, the remaining Iranian missile and drone facilities will likely take only a couple more weeks, and when finished, President Donald Trump will declare victory.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, two-time Democratic presidential candidate, founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition, and Greenville native, died February 17th at the age of 84. According to family, Jackson died peacefully in the morning, surrounded by family. In recent years, Jackson had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and was treated for another rare degenerative neurological disorder.
Jackson grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, attending both the University of Illinois and North Carolina Agricultural and Technical College, graduating in 1994. As a teenager, Jackson participated in a sit-in at a segregated public library and was arrested for doing so, starting his career in civil rights activism and boosting the student-led civil rights movement across the South.
After graduating college, Jackson attended Chicago Technological Seminary with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and later founded the Rainbow Push Coalition, an organization focused on civil rights, voter registration, and economic empowerment. He was awarded the Medal of Freedom in 2000 and remained an influential political figure up until his passing.
Turning to sports, Jordan York has all the updates in Clemson athletics. Jordan, what do you have for us?
Well, Libby, there's a lot of things to break down, so we're going to start off with gymnastics. The Tigers went into Huntsville, Alabama last weekend as part of the Elevate the Stage quad, where they took on Georgia, Auburn, and Pitt. The Tigers finished with a solid score of 196.875, but unfortunately, that only got them to third place, ahead of Pittsburgh, but almost half a point behind Auburn and more than a point behind the victorious Georgia Bulldogs. The Tigers, now 5-7 on the season, return to Littlejohn for their final home meet of the season tomorrow night at 6. It's senior night against the Cougars of BYU, so show up and show out for the Tigers. Clemson lacrosse fell to number 1 team in the nation, UNC, at home just over a week ago, and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame awaited the Tigers last Sunday. Freshman Alexa Spallina and crew were still searching for their marquee win this season. Well, they don't have to look anymore. The biggest win in program history saw the Tigers take down the number 6 team in the nation 13-9. It was Spallina's goal and 4 assists and junior attacker Reagan Burns' 5 goals that propelled the Tigers to their 4th win of the season and even their record at 4-4. However, this weekend, they'll be away from Conklin Field for the first time since February 28th as they head to Charlottesville to take on the Virginia Cavaliers, who, as of now, sit 20th in the nation. That game gets underway at 4 p.m. Saturday on the ACC network. Clemson baseball was the talk of Tiger Town after sweeping LaSalle in a 4-game series by a combined score of 52-12 and jumping to number 11 in the nation. The Tigers had a midweek matchup with Georgia Southern, and the Tigers fell for the trap game. Ahead of a series with the number 4 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets this weekend at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, it was Georgia Southern who delivered Clemson's second loss of the season. A 6-run second inning was all Georgia Southern needed for the upset as the Eagles took down the Tigers 6-1. Now, the Yellow Jackets await, and in fact, it's live right now. Game 1 of the series between Clemson and Georgia Tech is underway at Doug Kingsmore Stadium and currently scoreless in the bottom of the second. Game 2 will be tomorrow at 8, and the series finale will be Saturday at 3. Now, it's March, so let's talk madness. Women's basketball is clearly headed for the NCAA tournament, with the Tigers having a 21-11 record, 11-7 in ACC play, and a marquee win over top 10 and ACC regular champions Duke. The Tigers had a chance to boost their case in Duluth, Georgia at the ACC tournament and did exactly that. They took down Virginia 63-50 behind 19 points from Mia Moore and 10 points off the bench from Taylor Johnson-Matthews. The Tigers as a team shot 50% from 3, but couldn't carry that momentum into the quarterfinals, where they fell to Duke 60-46. Sean Poppy and his Tigers will await their fate on Selection Sunday, this Sunday, when the 64-team bracket is revealed for the women's NCAA tournament at 8 p.m. Eastern. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2019, but that looks very likely to change. And finally, men's basketball, which was listed as should be in Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology update, has one last chance to improve their resume, and it came in the ACC tournament at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. The 5-seed Tigers took on Wake Forest last night and certainly helped their case. The Tigers outpaced the Demon Deacons by 18 to take a 41-23 lead into the halftime break. That lead was cut into a good bit, but never taken away, as the Tigers saw 10 different scorers in the 71-62 victory. Now they await North Carolina for a late-night tip-off tonight in the ACC quarterfinals, and they'll have to beat the Tar Heels without Carter Welling. Should their resume be enough? Yes. Does that mean it's a lock? Not yet. A win tonight would do wonders for the Tigers. Then, assuming they're in, from there, the question is simple. Are we due for another magical underdog run from Brad Brownell and his crew, or will they see an early exit just like last year? We'll find out soon enough. Libby, back to you.
Thanks, Jordan. On Tuesday, Clemson students, faculty, staff, executives, trustees, and stakeholders gathered in Columbia for the annual Clemson Day celebration. Clemson Day was designated 11 years ago by South Carolina State Senate to serve as a day recognizing Clemson University's impact throughout the state and beyond.
Clemson's impact includes $114 million in annual state tax revenue, over 37,000 jobs statewide, and an annual economic valuation of over $6 billion. Senate President and Clemson alum Thomas Alexander stated Clemson is the standard, not only in South Carolina, but in the entire country.
Along with the words of Alexander, interim university president Bob Jones provided an update on the university's brand new Harvey S. Peeler Junior College of Veterinary Medicine and shared that 60 of 80 seats in the inaugural class have been offered to in-state students, highlighting the university's dedication to serving the state's residents. Additionally, the celebration included a student panel with our very own undergraduate and graduate student government presidents, along with other Clemson student leaders who talked about their involvements with the university and their #1 student experience.
Finally, the Clemson Day program always includes a presentation of the Board of Visitors Legislative Leadership Award by Clemson's Governmental Affairs team. This year, the award was presented to Senator Ross Turner, a Clemson class of '86 alum from Greenville. Turner is a member of the Senate's Higher Education Budget Subcommittee and has advocated for the university through budget requests and supporting their legislation priorities.
Staying in the Clemson sphere, university student government elections finally took place yesterday. Elections were delayed following the disqualification of the sole president and vice president candidates on February 3rd. The debate between the new candidates, Sergio Romero and Ada Ozer, and Rosie Hanna with Brady Young, finally took place on Wednesday, March 4th, and gave the candidates the chance to express their visions, plans, and promises for the upcoming school year.
Presidential candidate Romero and his running mate Ozer have built their campaign around the slogan, "Built by Tigers, Driven by You." They believe that their analytical perspective, both being engineering students and leadership experience, make them the best fit. The two outlines a four-phase plan to achieve their goals. Phase 1 being planning and listening. Phase 2 being communication and awareness. Phase 3 being policy action, and Phase 4 being implementation.
On the other side of the ticket, presidential candidate Hanna and her running mate Young have structured their run around their own slogan, "Raised by these hills and rising for them." They emphasize their biggest priority as sharing Clemson's deep history. A priority for their campaign is to create more connection between individuals and organizations on campus, improving communication. They aim to amplify student voices through transparency. Finally, they stated that their mission expands beyond campus and into the Clemson community, maximizing their impact.
Students had the chance to vote for their choice between the two campaigns, as well as many student senate positions, all of yesterday through Tiger Quest. Students are anxiously awaiting the results, which will be announced tomorrow.
And for a final update from the area, further parking changes are happening downtown. In the near future, and by mid-August of 2026, multiple downtown Clemson traffic and parking changes will begin. Aimed at making downtown more pedestrian-friendly, the main focus of the project will expand the sidewalks on Judge Keller's side of the College Avenue from 4 feet to 16 feet.
Other changes include changing the direction of Sloan Street, removing the turn lane from College Avenue onto Sloan Street, removing existing pavers, adding new trees and landscaping, installing a raised crosswalk at the intersection of North Clemson and College Avenue, and revitalizing Addison Lane into a pedestrian plaza. Further developments after Phase 1 will follow, with officials planning to widen both sides of the sidewalks, removing all street parking, and making it safer and more comfortable for pedestrians.
With spring break just around the corner, Angelina Terry has all the weather updates you'll need to know before heading out for the week. Angelina, what do you have for us?
Well, Libby, it's shaping up to be a beautiful start to the weekend. We're kicking things off with plenty of sunshine, a high of 63 and a cool low dropping to 37 overnight. A little chilly in the morning, so you might want to bring a light jacket before you head outside. Saturday warms things up nicely with a high of 72 and a low of 42, making it a perfect day to get outside and catch some sun. But keep an eye on the skies heading into Sunday. Clouds will start to roll in with about a 55% chance of rain. Temperatures will continue to stay fairly mild with a high of 69 and a low of 50, so it may be a good idea to keep an umbrella handy just in case. So Tigers, enjoy the warmer weather while it's here and make the most of the spring-like weekend. Back to you.
Thanks, Angelina. Our final story comes from Greenville, as GE Aerospace announced on Monday that it plans to invest a whopping $1 billion in their sites and suppliers across the nation. This includes a $33 million investment in the site located in Greenville. The Greenville location opened almost 16 years ago in April of 2010, with $30 million being invested at the time.
The company says that the investments will improve the building, as well as increase manufacturing ability and efficiency by upgrading and adding new equipment, including inspection technology and specialized tools. Greenville's site leader, Chris Ubilla, stated that the company has a big role in delivering the parts customers need, and that these investments in advanced manufacturing equipment ensure we can meet growing demand and maintaining the precision and quality for our customers expect.
The recent investments will bring the site to a total of $70 million in investments received in the past 3 years. Well, Tigers, that wraps up this week's updates. We'll be back in 2 weeks after spring break. Nationally to locally, I'm Libby Smith.
And I'm Liz Huff, Clemson News Now.